What's up, everybody? It's your boy Lou, aka L Bloggy, and it's been a long time since I've been inspired to do videos again because back in 2008, I started them and I was inspired and I stopped because I felt like people weren't listening to me and the messages that I wanted to give to the world, you know, in favor of more silly or sexual or, just comedic content, And and it really I pulled back from it. It really just kind of disempowered me in the sense that um that that I just wanted to forget it. I thought, it maybe it wasn't the calling that I thought it was. So now, moving forward, almost 10, 11 years later, I'm back. And the reason I am back is because it's the right time for me. And I have a reason. I have a little bit of sense of the purpose that that I've been sent here on earth to deliver, and which was a spiritual awakening brought on last year, the end of last year, from reuniting with my twin flame. So this now that I'm renaming my channel El Bloggy Awakened because now I'm awakened, and this journey is so deep and beautiful and ever changing that you have to express it. You have to get everything out, you know. So let me tell you a little bit about my twin flame experience. So I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you look back at my very first video, I think I explained that back in 2008. So I think I met my twin back in 2007. He was a missionary originally from the South Pacific, and you guys, it's my twin flame is of the same sex that I am. So this is, of course, that's going to spark what I'm starting now as the same sex twin flame journey, because I think in the collective, even though there is the knowledge that same sex twins exist, and the energy, it's about the energies and it doesn't matter, I still feel that there is a strong aversion to male same-sex twins and their journeys, and I'd like to kind of break that down and be the example, if I can be, um, for that side of the collective. Now, I am I am a twin flame in separation, which means, but if you've been paying attention to the readings lately, union is definitely on the horizon, and I feel that within myself that it's definitely on the horizon. So now I know I needed to kind of guide myself into my mission. So back to my story. So I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. My twin is from the South Pacific. one of those islands. I won't give too much information about him because I need to respect him and his privacy. But um, and we both met in Alaska in 2007. He was a Mormon missionary, and I had just joined the church in 2006 and continuing to meet with the missionaries. Um, and I have to say that back then we met, and I know I felt like, who the fuck is this guy? Where do I know him from? Why do I feel like this? He was like so enchanting to me back then, and I didn't know why. I thought back then that that okay, I just had a man crush. I thought I just had a man crush, and even though I've met with tons of missionaries and a lot of missionaries that are also from the South Pacific, it was this one particular one that just kind of just made me kind of in awe of him in a sense, and it was just very instant, very magnetic, and it was like we would do our studies, and the other person would disappear. From my perspective, at least, the other person would just disappear, and I just couldn't stop staring, stop thinking, stop focusing on where are you, where did you come from, and why do I feel this way, and then how anyone who knows about Mormon missionaries know that they move around a little bit to kind of spread the gospel, and 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 so he moved around, and I think we weren't in the same ward, and because at that time I had moved out of my mom's house, we were no longer meeting at my mom's house. We were meeting at my new apartment that I had back in 2007, which is kind of funny because I feel like had my mom um, witnessed the meeting between us, then she would have caught on to that something wasn't wasn't normal between me and this other person. Just kind of reading, an intuitive mother, mother's intuition. But we were given a chance um, to meet outside of, my mother's, prying eyes or feelings or whatever, which is great. But also, we so we had that first meeting, and I felt what I did. I brushed it off that, hey, you just like this guy. That's what it is. You don't know what it is, but you just like this guy. And our second meeting, we was just a chance encounter at a shopping grocery store, and my mom was with me. And my mom saw that I kind of lit up when I seen him, and I hugged him, and we were all talking, and my mom was like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "That's Elder Leland." Back then, I felt like I could hide behind the good intentions of God and church, and that's what it was, and we're just connecting and bonding through the word, and that's the reason why I'm feeling this excitement about him. I felt like I could hide in that, and even though she had suspicions that it was something more, I'm so grateful now that we all had that moment to kind of talk and interact and bond. But moving forward, we had another meeting. Um, and these are all like outside of that first meeting that we had, these second encounters were kind of more serendipitous. And so we met again. I went to a young single adult conference. And my intention was to go there and participate in a talent show. I was going to sing Umbrella, Ella, Ella, eh. But I backed out of singing because their system was really cheap and it was going to make me sound a hot mess. So I said no. But I went to this conference and and for the sake of who I'm referring to, I'm just going to refer to my twin flame as Lee. So yeah, I saw Lee there, and of course, there was that bond, that pull again. It's like you again. Hi, and we were actually holding hands and talking like lovers, not caring what any of those white people thought about what was happening. And I don't think that holding hands in his culture means the same thing that it does here. But at that time, that's how I felt. That's how, like, I didn't care like how it looked. It was like this is this is home right here, you know. And and he had to leave early from the conference because I think he was just stopping in to say hi because he was in the area at that time. But he left, and I exchanged, or he gave me his missionary email, and to keep in touch and all that jazz. And a couple months later, I emailed him. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about you, and how's your mission going? And I still have those emails too. And you look back and everything is just kind of weird, but I still have those emails, and we were expressing our love for each other in those emails, and it was very authentic and very magical. And but he he got sent back. His mission ended in about April 2008, and he went back to his hometown in the South Pacific. His email that was generated from the church, of course, he no longer had access to that. So I was left feeling I need to go to the South Pacific to find him. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but I need to go and find him. And trying not to make this too long. And my mom, you know, she didn't understand why I would suddenly want to travel outside the country to South Pacific because what? I'd have to really explain the who, what's, and whys for her to approve of something like that, which she didn't approve, and I didn't go. Um, but I've always, I felt like I needed to go, and I couldn't. So I was forced to kind of put it in the back of my mind. And then we move on, and we move on. And around 2014-ish, I get the urge to look him up. Back when he went back to the South Pacific, Facebook and all that stuff really hadn't taken off. So I felt like, well, maybe, by this time, he's on there and I can connect with him. I found him and to my surprise, he was in Alaska, married with a child. And I was like, you mean here I am thinking that he went back to the South Pacific and all this time he's been here in Alaska starting a new life with a wife and child? Like, where they do that at? Like, why didn't he remember to reach out to me or anything? Write a letter or look for me? I don't know. But so I reached out and I sent, how you send a message on Facebook. And him and his wife actually share a Facebook page. Mm. Him and his wife actually share a Facebook page. So I wrote to him. I was like, hey, I'm Lewis. Do you remember me way back when? No response. So I figure, hey, maybe that was just a weird ass phase I was going through or something. And of course he's moved on and everything. He's got a wife and a kid. Let it go. So I did. And I go through my life as normal. I go through my life as normal, and fast forward to and fast forward to 2015. I lost my mother to a very late stage of colon cancer, um, which kind of activated like the emotional floodgates for me in my grief. And of course, I had to face a lot of things that I feel my mother kind of protected me from, and I had to learn and grow from them. I had to deal with a lot of things that she kind of anchored in my life and kind of find my own footing. I was working at the time, and after she passed, of course, there was a little bit of loss of income. So I had to kind of look for another job, and I was working two jobs, and I was content. And I said, it's kind of painful still staying here. I want to go back to Vermont, before this whole Alaska journey started. And I started saving so that I can move to Vermont. I needed $10,000. I finally got to a place where I could start saving, and something went wrong and I couldn't save. But December, I think November, I said, okay, for real, I'm going to leave. I'm going to move to Vermont. I'm going to go back. And December, I lost one job, and my second job, which was my main income, they were doing layoffs. So I made the plan to go to Vermont, but now my first job, which was like my extra money, That's gone. My my second job, which was my main money, that's gone. And so now I'm just kind of, and there was a, what do you call it? Not a payout, a severance pay. There was a severance pay with my job for like $4,000. I used that to as a down payment for a new car, and started doing Uber and Lyft to kind of see if I can pay my bills in between not having a job. So, doing all this job searching, I'm feeling hopeless because I've never lost a job before, let alone two in the same month, and not knowing where the next is coming from. And sorry, I'm getting emotional. And I was Ubering and lifting for 2 months until I got a job with a particular company, which I'm not going to discuss because I don't really discuss, where I work. Um, but I got a job with a particular company, and it was great. Like it all was kind of nice, and I didn't expect to be in this type of job. Um, and the job was nice, but it was a significant pay cut. Like it was barely paying my bills, and my bills were now used to me having the two jobs with the higher paying one, and in addition to the supplemental one. So I was just kind of month by month, just kind of really living paycheck to paycheck, robbing Peter to pay Paul, extracting from Susie. And like 2 months into the job, there was an internal offer to move to another part in my state. But this other part of my state was very remote and very rural and very, so there was a pay differential and there was a relocation bonus involved with it. And I said, that's what I need. That's what I need. I want to do it. So, I did it. I was approved. They wanted me to come. I came. Everything. And 2 months into the job, my twin flame walks in. Lee comes into the branch. I'm like, that's how I was. And I hadn't seen him in a while. And there's a lot of islanders that are in the state and in the new place that I moved to. So I didn't kind of want to jump out there and say, hey, I know you, because it could very well have been a lookalike. But it's like my inner knowing of knowings knew. Just my 3D self wasn't so sure. And it wasn't until my coworker actually said his name, and I was like, that is you. Hi. Oh my God, I can't believe you're here. I can't believe I'm here. Ain't that about a. And I wanted to jump over that counter and give him the biggest hug ever. But I couldn't because, I was dealing with a customer myself. So I kind of had to contain all that. But I left that branch smiling. And I went home and I texted him. I hit him up on Facebook again. This time, his wife replied and was like, hey, it's nice seeing you and all that stuff. And then he's seen it later. I told you they share the same, profile, whatever. And so we started reconnecting. And, it's really amazing. It's like, wow, I can't believe you're here. And all this time. And I didn't know you were here. And, of course, we both met in a context of God. So naturally we think, this is God's plan right here that this happened, but we don't know why. And things were really good. I started kind of getting to know him better, started hanging out. Well, my coworker told me that he goes to the gym. And I was like, I'm there. I went to that gym specifically to see him and just watch him and talk to him if I could. And it was the most amazing thing. Like, even if we didn't talk, just looking at him just felt right. And I didn't know what the hell was going on. But so then, of course, he's still active in the church. So, and there's a little portion of it here. So he wanted me to go there, and I go there, of course, to see him, be closer to him again. Not because I really want to be in the church or I really want to be in the gym. Like, I want to be close to him. And that's the only reason I am entertaining these entities. Um, and then, his birthday was coming up. They had a nice little celebration with his wife's side of the family, and he invited me there, and that was amazing. And everything's just going fine, and we're getting to know each other, and we're feeling really love and everything. And then one day at the gym, I his friend has some pills. They work out together. His friend has some pills that I wanted to try. So I went to the gym to go pick up the pills from his friend, and I saw his friend. I gave his friend a hug, and then Lee walks over to us being nosy, and I decide to give him a hug too, and he pulls back and then kind of offers me a handshake. Really? And like, I was so mad about that because I always hug him. I always dab him up. Like, even if I give him the bro hug to kind of keep up our manly exterior, like, I still give him a hug, because he's special to me. And for him to push me away and then offer me this handshake, I'm like, who are you fronting for? Like, who is it? Who are you trying to distance yourself from me for? What is that about? So I was upset. Um, and then something else happened. Then his wife and daughter I seen. His wife and daughter I seen after work, and Lee was sitting in the car. They were asking me did I need a ride. I was like, no, I'm gonna catch a cab. And it was like, but your friend is there. He wants you to come. Talking about Lee. And I'm like, okay, So I'm in the car. I'm just like, mm-hmm. So he invites me to Thanksgiving. I said, well, I've got plans on Thanksgiving, but I can come to your little shindig after, I told these other people that I'd be there. So that night it was like, it was going good. Thanksgiving night was going good. And I told him I was on my way over, and I'm sitting here knocking at the door like forever, knocking at the door, knocking. And it's cold. It's really cold outside. I walk in, and it's just him and some other guys drinking kava, knowing they'd heard me doing all this knocking, and he didn't even get up to get it. I was pissed. I ignored the fuck out of him. And he was like, when are you going home? Nigga, never mind where I'm going home. Are you kicking me out? And then don't worry about it. Like, that was my attitude. And even when I left, I was like, I didn't even say bye to him. And if you've been following this, like, you can clearly see that we're going through we're past the love bubble stage and we're being triggered. So that time where he pulled away from me at the gym, I felt rejected. And that's a hard one for me. So, and I felt rejected again, at the whole Thanksgiving thing, and it made me angry. And so he hits me up later and he's like, you changed. I'm like, nigga, I ain't changed. You changed. You the one. You the one putting on a front because you're scared of your association to me. Oh my God, this video is getting long. Like, you the one putting on a front, not me. But then he had to leave. So he left the country. He went back to his home country because he's starting a business. But convenient time to start a business in another country when you're feeling the way you do, which is how I'm feeling, which is fucked up about what's going on between us. But luckily, we were mature enough to part ways amicably during our separation. And during our separation, the beginning of our separation, we FaceTimed, and I said, I'm coming there. I'm going to come to visit in February. That's what I'm doing. Next year, I'm going to visit. And he says, no, don't come. It's not time. I'm not ready. What? I thought that statement was ridiculous because, one, the island doesn't revolve around you. Like, you're not the only thing that the island has to offer. And second, ready for what? What are you talking about? I don't know. So I agreed that I wouldn't come. I said, okay, more rejection. And I booked a flight because I went back to work, and they said the only time that I really kind of had to take this little vacation was this allotted time in February. So I took it. I booked my flight. I went there. Couple days after I booked the flight, I was feeling so much pain, so much anxiety, so much fear that I was going to lose him, and that really scared me. And I wanted to go to him and tell him, look, I don't care what it looks like, what has to happen. I want you in my life. I need you. And then I was researching. I was on the computer. Why do I feel this way? What is this connection? Why did we reconnect after all this time? And that's when I ran into the twin flame stuff. And it clicked. It made perfect sense. So then I said, oh my God, now that I've awakened, that trip was a mistake. I shouldn't have booked that trip. But it's already done. So the way I kind of made peace with it was I said I would go there and I wouldn't tell him. That way I won't do the push-pull thing because I don't want to push him away. Um, and and by the time that the time came for me to take my trip, I was really stressed out at work, and I really needed a vacation. So I was prepared to go. Um, Let me tell you, during this time of the separation, me and my DM. Oh, that's another thing. I discovered I'm the divine feminine energy of our connection, and he's my divine masculine, which makes sense because all my life I've kind of had like this feminine predominance that I couldn't quite put a handle on, and this journey has made that make sense to me. But anyway, so I awoke into the connection, and we started having dreams about each other. And each time we would have a dream, he would contact me. And that's how I knew the shit was real. Like it's really fucking real. And that's beautiful as well, because it's like we're in separation, but it's getting stronger and it's getting deeper, and the rabbit hole is getting deeper about what's going on here. And I know, I can only imagine that he is just over in that country, just depressed and all these conflicting emotions, like doubts about sexuality, doubts about marriage, doubts about what real love looks like, and whew, um, so so right now, so I started doing the work to try to, you do enough research, you realize that you have to pull back and you have to go within and you have to start doing your work to try to get over some of these wounds that popped up during after that bubble love stage. And then I quickly got to a point where I was like, I feel good. I'm detached. Anything could happen now. I'm not triggered by that stuff anymore. But I was still checking his profile daily. Me and his wife would go through a posting back and forth because I blamed the wife for interfering with or being a roadblock to our coming together. But as you grow, and it's karmic cycle that has to end. That's teaching us both about what's what. And fast forward to now, I'm just I want to share my story, and I want to be a beacon of light for others that are on the exact same path that I'm on, as well as others that who aren't on the exact same path that I'm on. And it's just so much self-discovery, so much discovery about life, about spirituality, about everything that you knew that was just kind of, it's blowing you away, coming to the new realizations, the shifting to the 3D to the 5D consciousness. And so that's why I'm starting this series, the same sex twin flame journey, because it's really putting a lot in perspective. And of course, it's my mission, like to enlighten people and help people. You see some of my comments floating around on YouTube, where I go into this deep explanation and about, trying to help people who are like really having difficulty on the journey. But this video is getting long, but I needed to put my first foot forward in starting the series, or I was never going to do it. So bear with me here, and I love you guys, and we're in this thing together. Bye.